Hello, everyone. Welcome in today. Today, we're going to go through the AFC South and we're going to give off our draft grades for them. We're going to kick it off with the Tennessee Titans, who picked Cam Ward at number 1 overall. I gave them a B for this pick. It was the right decision, but I'm not going to give them a ton of credit for taking a guy I had rated like in the 11. I think he was like number 13 or something, or 12 on my big board. So for me, it was a little bit early if you look at it, but it was the right decision for them to make. You always pick quarterbacks early, especially if you think he can be a franchise guy. And a B is a solid, good grade. I don't think that he's like the top 3 quarterbacks last year that I would have given an A if they'd have taken him at number 1 overall. He's not that high for me. I think Cam Ward's definitely, a little bit lower, but he has the chance to be a franchise quarterback. And I think the Tennessee Titans made the right decision here. So they get a B for that pick. Their second round pick, Oluwafemi Oladejo out of UCLA, the edge rusher. I gave that a C. I had more of like a mid to late third round grade on him. I thought it was a little bit early, just not the biggest fan of taking a guy who only has part of a year on the edge in the second round. It's a big projection. And if it works out, great. But he doesn't always look comfortable, and he'll go long stretches where he disappears, and that's kind of my concern with taking him in the second round. And then third round, they got a steal in Kevin Winston Jr. I gave that an A, the safety out of Penn State. Absolutely think he could have gone in the second round. And honestly, if they'd have flipped the Oladejo and the Winston Jr. picks, I'd have been happy with this draft, and it probably would have gotten a higher grade than what it did for me. Now let's go ahead and take a look at their day 3 picks. You got Chamir DK, the wide receiver out of Florida, round 4, pick 1. I'm okay with that. Some people are a little lower on DK. I like him. I am a Gators fan, so maybe I'm a little bit biased. And then at round 4, pick 18, Gunnar Helm. I have that as a good value. And then round 4, pick 34, Alec Iomaner, the wide receiver out of Stanford. Now that's a steal for me. I absolutely love that pick. I guess he probably had medicals and that's why it dropped. Hopefully it works out for him. He stays healthy and you're going to have yourself a fantastic value here in the 4th round. In the 5th round, they took Jackson Slater, the interior offensive lineman out of Sacramento State. I think that's a good pick. If you can develop him and you trust Callahan to do it, which he's one of the best offensive line coaches in the league. So I can see why you'd put your faith in him. And I think that right there could be a steal for him. But right now, it's okay value. Round 6, they took Marcus Harris, the cornerback out of Cal. Okay with that. Didn't really finish an eval on him, so I don't have a final grade, so not going to dog it. Khalil Mullings at round 6, pick 12, halfback out of Michigan. That's right. I think where I had him was exactly in the 6th round, so that's good for me. I think that's perfect value. So for the Tennessee Titans, their final grade's going to end up being a B+. And honestly, this draft would have been higher. I think Oladejo in the 2nd round was really kind of rich, and it hurt their grade quite a bit. It easily could have been an A-, and I really debated long and hard about giving it an A- because the Cam Ward pick was the right pick. Kevin Winston's a good pick. They had some good and steal values later in the draft, but I think I landed on a B+ because, like I said, Oladejo is a big risk in the 2nd round, and let's face it, I hope Cam Ward works out and he's a really good quarterback, but the fact of the matter is, taking him at number 1 overall does pose its own set of risks. So that's why, for me, it's not going to end up being an A draft. I'm going to leave it at a B+. Let's move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who picked at number 5. We're going to start their draft off with Travis Hunter. That's an A value. They gave up a lot to go get him, but he's a really good player, and if he hits on both sides of the ball, you got yourself a fantastic value there, and giving up another first-round pick is A-okay. But, that's the big question. He was the number 1 player on the board for me in this draft class, so I have no problem with them trading up to get him at number 2. That's going to be an A for me. Round 3, pick 24, they took Caleb Ransaw, the corner out of Tulane. I gave that a C-. He was in the 4th round for me. Was not as high on that pick. Round 3, pick 25, they took Wyatt Milam. He used to play tackle at Virginia or West Virginia, but he's going to have to slide inside to play on the interior. That's a D+ for me. I was not as high on Wyatt Milam when I finished his tape as I thought I was going to be. I really liked him early in the process, and then I watched a couple more games, and I have a lot of concerns about him. He has a good demeanor and all, but I had him rated more of like 4th to 5th or, almost solid 5th round grade. So for me, it was quite early. I know a lot of people would be okay with this value, and there's a real good chance I'm wrong. It's just somebody I'm not as high on. And then they got good value in Bashal Tutin here in the 4th round out of Virginia Tech, the halfback. Like that, I had him right about middle of the 3rd round value, so that was pretty good. Round 4, pick 5, they took Jack Kaiser, the linebacker out of Notre Dame. That was early for me. I had him more as a 5th, 6th round guy. Round 6, pick 18, they took Jalen McLeod, the linebacker out of Auburn. That was okay. Round 6, pick 24, they took Rayon Lane, the 3rd, safety out of Navy. Didn't get to finish his tape, so I can't complain about that one. Round 5, pick 5, they took Jonah Monheim, the probably center out of USC. I think that's really the only position he can play. I gave that an okay value. Good dart throw here late in the draft. And then they got LaQuint Allen at round 7, pick 20, the halfback out of Syracuse. I think he's going to be a fantastic receiving back in the NFL, and I'm going to give that a steal value. I had him much higher in this class. I don't know why he fell so far. He is a bit of an upright runner, but I really liked LaQuint Allen, and that's fantastic value getting him in the 7th round. And I think he can contribute on passing downs immediately. Overall, the Jaguars, I don't give them really credit for trades and stuff, but I'm going to give this one just a C+. I'm not as high on it. I think Wyatt Milum, Caleb Ransaw, and Jack Kaiser really did hurt some of the value they got from Travis Hunter. And, I like LaQuint Allen late, but to me, I just have questions of what they did on day 2 of the draft, and that's going to hurt the value of this class quite a bit, in my opinion. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Ransaw, I could see. I just feel like he's very developmental, and for me, that's more of a day 3 thing. It is late day 2 that he took him, so, I can get behind it a little more, but I don't know. It's just early for both of them guys for me. I'm not going to be as high on this class as a lot of other people, I think, but the C+ isn't bad for the Jaguars. Let's go ahead and move on to the next team in our division, and that's going to be the Indianapolis Colts. They took Tyler Warren at pick 14, the tight end out of Penn State. I'm going to give that an A. Round 2, pick 13, they took JT Tuimoloau, the edge out of Ohio State. That's a B. That's good value for me. So if you get a B, I think you got good value. I have no complaints. I had Tuimoloau right in this range. Fringe top 50 player for me. I had no problem with this value at all, and he was slightly inside of my top 50. Round 3, pick 16, they took Justin Wally, the corner out of Minnesota. I'm going to go B- on that. I had him more as a day 3 guy. Round 4, pick 25, Jalen Travis, the tackle out of Ohio State. I'm going to be fully honest with you. I didn't finish an eval on him because I wasn't sure he was going to be draftable. And I slapped that with an early grade because round 4 for a guy that, like I said, I didn't finish the eval, so some of that could be me just being wrong, but I watched one tape of his fully, and I just seen a guy that was going to be later on in the draft. Like I gave him like a 6th to 7th round grade. And so I never got back to finishing an eval on him because he was at the bottom of the draft, in my opinion. And that certainly was just earlier than I expected him to come off the board. Round 5, pick 14, they took DJ Giddens, the halfback out of Kansas State. That's okay value, no problem with that pick. Round 6, pick 13, they got Riley Leonard. I'm actually going to give that good value because I had him as more of a middle of the 5th round guy. Round 6, pick 14, they got Tim Smith, the interior defensive lineman out of Alabama. That's an okay value to me. And then round 7, pick 16, Hunter Waller, the safety out of Wisconsin. He's probably going to play linebacker for him because that's how they announced him. That's okay value to me. I have no problem with that. And I think he absolutely could make the position switch, and it might be better for him in the NFL. Overall, the Colts didn't have a bad class at all. I'm going to give it a B. This one here is just solid drafting, in my opinion. Wally being a little early and Jalen Travis being early did bring this grade down a little bit, but overall, the Colts did a good job. I'm really happy that they got Tyler Warren. They've been looking for a tight end. I think Tuimoloau is going to be able to come in, set a firm edge, be a good run defender for him, and really fill in a good role for this team and make them better overall. Now we're going to get to the division-winning Houston Texans. Round 2, pick 2, after a trade down, they got Jaden Higgins, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. That's good value for me. That's a B. Round 2, pick 16, they got Ariante Ursery, the tackle out of Minnesota. Again, that's going to be another B, good value. Round 3, pick 15, they got Jalen Noel, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. I was a little lower on him. I thought this was perfect value for him. It's where I thought he should go. And then at round 3, pick 33, they took Jalen Smith, the corner out of USC. I was lower on him. That's only going to be a C+ for me. And then round 4, pick 14, Woody Marks out of USC, the halfback. He's going to be a great receiving threat for them out of the backfield. I gave that okay value as well. And then Jalen Reed, the safety out of Penn State in the 6th round, no problem with that at all. Now, they took my guy, Florida quarterback Graham Mertz at round 6, pick 21. I got to slap that with an early. He's coming off of a knee injury. He is probably a career backup, and if he was healthy, I think this would be an okay value for me. But with the knee injury, I had him as a solid UDFA player because I just figured coming off a knee injury, not really knowing when he's going to be fully healthy and ready to play, and he's not a high-end, developmental guy. He's the type of guy that's going to be a backup, in my opinion, and that's just what he's going to be. And I just definitely thought it was a little early getting him when they did. Round 7, pick 8, they took Keontae Hamilton, the interior defensive lineman out of Rutgers. Did not finish his tape, so I'm going to say that's okay value. And then round 7, pick 39, they took Luke Lachey, the tight end out of Iowa. That's okay value, not going to call that a steal. I definitely thought Lachey would be better when I watched him in the past, and I kept hoping to see a breakout. It just never happened for him between injuries and stuff. Overall, this Texans class isn't as good as I thought it would be, but it's not a bad class overall. I think they got a lot of good value. I think they did the right things early on, which is why they're going to get a B minus instead of in the C's, which is where I almost initially put it. I really think Houston did the right thing in this draft, like I said. So I'm not going to dog them too much. B minus, that's a pretty good grade. I think the Texans did a good job overall, and we'll see if it's able to help. I was hoping they'd get some better tackle options here, but they really didn't have any. They passed on Simmons by trading back. Probably that injury gave them some questions, and then the work ethic stuff. But Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, keeping them together, we'll see if it works out as good as it did in college, because they were a perfect pair then. Either way, I want to thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Have a great day. I'll catch you in the next one. I'm out.